I've got this. I've pulled people in here before. Just let me do this.
Yes, but Rue, it's a very delicate system in order to... Oh, okay, looks like you're trying it without... I won't...
Pa-pa-pa-pa! Well, I got someone. How'd you like the magic word?
Not bad. Did pull in a duck, though.
And an orc, it looks like.
What? Where am I? Gary, what did you lace with that deep weed?
Hello.
Okay. Now, there are 3 things, maybe 4 things, that could be explaining this right now. I could have been kidnapped by magical spirits. Who knows what they want with me? I'm not magical. I don't know anything about magic. 2, they are dragons. Clearly they're dragons. They're affiliated with some mega corporation and they want information from me.
And 3, welcome to the Delegation of Dreamers. I'm Ephraim.
I am Rue, and you are in the world of forgotten memories and dreams.
And I'm Ashura, and Rue, I keep telling you, the duck dimension and the dream dimension are very close by. They go in alphabetical order.
Sometimes you just get a duck when you get a person. It's not a perfect science.
What?
Say, Mr. Orc, what's your name?
Let me get my bearings.
Sure, you better sit down.
All right.
You look a little bit wobbly.
I'll sit here on the floor. I'll plop down right here. Ground. Anyways, my name's Oz. You could call me Bloodhound. So the Delegation of Dreamers. What is that? What is this?
We pull people in through the dimension of dreams, and we ask them questions about their quests, their lives, and get to know them.
That's, I must say, it's kind of scary when you think about it. But if questions is and wanting to learn about these people is all really your goal, then I suppose there's no harm in that. I mean,
It's less scary when you consider that most people wake up thinking that this has all been a dream.
a lot of things I feel like have been dreams lately. Dragons would definitely make this be a very interesting dream, considering I don't know if you know anything about. You mentioned you mentioned a dimension, so I'm assuming you pulled me from my home place. Now this dimensional stuff is I don't know. If I don't want to think about it too much, or I'll think my head will explode. I'm from a place called Earth.
Why does that sound familiar?
Because he's sitting on it.
Well, yes, but it sounds like a place I've studied before.
Didn't we have an interviewer here that came from Earth? Maybe a different dimension of Earth?
You know, that actually sounds right. Something about a great war.
Ephraim, you recall?
I don't recall anyone mentioning Earth.
No, but I studied the place after.
You say war? Which war are you talking about?
They called it the Great War, which I don't know why.
Oh no, the Greatest War. They already had a Great War, so they called this one the Greatest.
Oh, yes, it was... What was it? It was like...
The Second Great War.
Yes.
World War II?
That might be the one they were talking about.
Nah, that doesn't sound right.
They didn't mention it by that name.
Earth War II.
I'm no historian on my Earth, but World War II did happen. It's what we called it. That was a long time ago. At least 130 years ago.
Who won it? Was the Canucks or the Axis that won it?
What was the score?
Allies 1, Axis 0.
All right.
The big game. There's one thing I wanted to ask you. In fact, now you said your name was Rue?
Yes.
Are you some sort of offshoot of a pixie?
You know, I believe I'm related to pixies, but I'm more plant than pixie. Though you're from a different world, so it might work a little different there. I'm a fae.
Don't think I know that word. Because I know a pixie. She's nowhere as pleasant as you are. Nowhere near as pleasant, I should say. She has her moments, though. Very strange.
So, Oz, what do you do on this Earth?
I am in a certain line of work that involves tracking, hunting down, maybe fixing bad deals. My boss occasionally sends me out Most recently, he had me go get a briefcase from some people, a group of interesting characters, and a guy named Exploding Dice. His dice really did explode. That's not a name for no reason. But a job like that, I collected an item, I returned it to Mickey Wolfman. I'm very good at sniffing things out a little bit. I'm not a lawman, I suppose.
A bounty hunter?
You could call me that. Sort of a bounty hunter in a sense. More of a hired gun, so to speak. We call ourselves Shadow. Well, we don't call ourselves Shadow, but the general term is running the shadows.
Sorry, a hired goon?
Gun.
What is a gun?
Isn't it one of those things that the owl person had? The long thing that was made of metal and...
Oh, the fireworks stick.
Yes, that one.
And it shot out something. It was very loud, I take it.
From what they described, yes.
That sounds like a gun. I don't know what make or model that would be, but I don't use guns. I use gun in the sense of that's just a general term where I'm from.
They called you a gun? So a person is a gun as well?
Some people can. There's got to be somebody out there with cyberware who would turn themselves into a gun. That's not out of the question.
I'm sorry, cyber what?
What is cyberware?
That is, cyberware is electronic devices, implants, so to speak, that have been placed inside the body. I have a number of them inside my own body, as well as some bioware.
What language is he speaking?
Well, I know what an electronic device is. I found one when I was maybe visiting another world. That thing called a game console.
Let's stick to the basics. Do they call you the Bloodhound because you're good at sniffing out stuff?
Yes, quite literally, actually. The moment I got in here, I just smelt this odor. It doesn't smell bad. I can't really make out what it is. It's an unfamiliar smell. What do I smell? What's that?
I mean, if I'm being honest with you, I have been getting into your special leaves.
Dare you?
You special lead. You got some deep weed on you?
I don't know if it would be the same as what you have called deep weed, but it is a type of plant that is not hallucinogenic. What's the word for it? It makes you feel nice.
Tea. It's called tea.
That's a thing. Where I'm from, tea's nice.
We'll have the kobolds bring you a cup of tea if you'd like.
I'd like some tea. So, from what you're describing, the special leaves, I can feel the implications of the other special leaves because deep weed is a special thing. It's not. I don't do drugs normally. Deep weed is the only thing I'll ever touch. There are other things that I will never touch. Things like BTLs, things like that. BTLs stand for better than life, which, to put it in simple terms, they are a type of drug, an implant you connect, because a lot of people in my world have jacks, like little holes in them. You plug, like, how can I describe this? You don't even know what I'm talking about.
Jacks are little holes.
Oh,
Like, are they named after a person or is it?
I don't know the etymology. I don't know where the name comes from. It's not my expertise. I imagine somebody out there somewhere would know where the name comes from. But they are little holes inside a person's part of the body, wherever it may be in their arm, maybe on the head.
All right. We don't have to go into naughty stuff.
It's not naughty. Typically, they find them on the head. It's a science thing.
Ooh, speaking of science, science involves making the things like that thing that you have, Ashura. Little metal box thing.
Oh, my laptop.
Yes.
I watch him play games on it every time we talk to people. As soon as he gets bored, he just starts playing stuff on it.
Ah,
Laptop, that's some dated technology there.
tell me, is game consoles still on the handheld version? Or are they more advanced in your world?
Well, looking back in history, things are not compared to compared to what history had. Things are not as analog as they are now. Things are more digital. We have the Matrix. We have SimSense. It's all interconnected. Things you can interact through devices. You can, but most people these days jack into it. Like they connect themselves to these devices.
I mean, that just sounds dirty.
That's a different type of jacking, Ephraim.
Trixie would make a lot of jokes about that statement.
So, apart from jacking around, is there anything else you do on the Earth?
Well, I'm from a town in a place called Pennsylvania. There's not a whole lot that I do. I work, and I work.
You work.
I work with a team. Then I got these things that I'm worried about that I'm still working to achieve.
You said you work with a team, and you mentioned, I think it was Trixie?
Yes,
Would you mind telling us more about this Trixie and other people that you work with?
absolutely. Well, Trixie, to start off with, she's a pixie. She's small, as the pixie would normally be. She is a character, all right. A little bit on the prejudice side, my kind, but she's warmed up to me a little bit. I think at some point that prejudice will start to die down a little bit more. We'll see. I don't know. But she's a little bit of a trickster. She likes to well, not really not my place to say. She does naughty things to help out with getting what we need. She's quite handy with mind magic. I don't know the details, but she like messes with people's minds sometimes. She make them sleep. She can knock them out. Sometimes just a big old rock knocks somebody out just fine. But
It's called mind magic when you throw a rock at the back of someone's skull.
that's the old analog magic.
I won't argue against results.
I mean, if it works, it works.
That was Gim's method. He was a dwarf. Gim, he had this big old rock. He found this big old rock. He claimed that his grandpappy used a big old rock to cure himself of something. Apparently it worked. But in the end, this big old rock ended up killing somebody. In fact, somebody who was chasing us in a cart in kind of like a vehicle chase.
How did the rock kill him?
I mean, Gim dropped it on their head. It was a big rock.
His whole deal was that he was carrying this rock around.
Oh no, he was very good at. He had a very interesting technique. He was a martial artist in a sense, sort of like me, but he was able to conjure up some form of lightning in his fists, and he always exclusively went for the groin. There was one time got into a bar fight. First thing he did before he threw any fists, he pulled down the guy's pants, and then his pants got pulled down, and then the guy who we were fighting got stricken with the size of. All right, yeah,
The other member.
yes. Gim was a fascinating person. He liked to drink. In fact, I think like she was drunk most of the time.
Well, you did say he was a dwarf.
Is that a stereotype I should be aware of?
Well, where I come from, it is.
Interesting.
I don't know how it works in your world, if that's not a common stereotype.
Well, it's not a stereotype I'm familiar with. Where I'm from, technically everybody, I guess we're all technically humans. At some point in history, people got transformed. I was born an orc. So whoever I've come from, a person who evidently turned into an orc as some more down the line, and then my family line came eventually. I'm here and born an orc.
Hmm.
I'm a little bit up there in age. I've been around the block. I'm 30 years old.
Well, that's not that old.
Well, in orc years, where I'm from, orcs don't tend to live very long past 40.
Due to age or war?
Age. We age much faster compared to most others. Because as you can see, I have gray hair. This isn't dyed. In fact, you probably see all these. You see my appearance. I'm very seasoned.
You're still rather strapping for someone of your age. For your race, that is.
Well, hey, what's that supposed to mean? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I stay in shape because I have to at this rate. Because I can't ever. If I'm going to get my daughter back.
Something happened to your daughter?
Back from whom?
Oh, right. It's a sore subject, but there's no harm in talking about it. My daughter was kidnapped by a group called the Anti-Human League. They are holding her hostage in the Gettysburg chapter. And my wife was killed as a result. I was one day working a job, came back, wife was gone, blood everywhere. Well, gone in the sense her body was there, but my daughter was just up and taken. And I want to get her back. I want to do right by her name was Sophie. My wife's name was Liddy. I would do anything to get her back. I would do anything.
Why did they kidnap her?
From what I understand, we got information from somebody named Carmilla, who is the sister of another orc named Luther, who was a good man. Carmilla, unfortunately, was in league with the, Anti-Human League. We took her, we tied her up, and we interrogated her. We got some information. And evidently, they took her because they didn't want my daughter to grow up as a human lover. They wanted her to be a true orc. They wanted her to turn to her cause. I feel like some of that is geared to piss me off. It does. And I've been shunned a lot by my own kind because I married a human. Unofficially. I can't officially marry anybody due to our limited rights. But in a sense, I married her. People were not happy. Some people weren't. I was labeled as a race traitor.
Why would anyone care, or why would it matter to anyone who you married?
Where I'm from, where I live, there's racism, there's prejudice against orcs and trolls. We are secluded in a town. Well, it's what used to be known as Rouserville. It's a suburb in, not a suburb, it's, I don't really know what to call it really, but it's like an area within Waynesboro. People call it Trogtown now. And that's kind of a bad place. It's worn down, it's gang ridden. There's a lot of people living in poverty. Trogs and trolls and orcs are treated like second class citizens compared to the more quote unquote agreeable races such as elves, humans, dwarves even.
What about kobolds?
I don't know what a kobold is.
It's those little dragon-ish things, the ones that came by with the tea.
Oh, well that's cool. He's kind of cute.
They're sneaky buggers.
I do have to say, I wish that I could do something to help with that segregation stuff. I don't like that one bit. Though I am limited in what I can do because I'm not supposed to mess with other dimensions.
Well, if only you could help, that would be great. Fortunately, it's starting to look up a little bit with the success of the march for Frogkind. Luther led that march. We protected him. We defeated the leader of the Waynesboro chapter, the Anti-Human League. Malthus was a bit of a bastard who caused a lot of problems. I killed him once, then he came back as something stronger than I could comprehend. And then he got blasted to bits by Wheelay, who is a bit of a magician. He's a mage.
2 questions, if I may.
Sure.
First off, how did he come back?
Some ritual magic. The doctor, who I will call Vanya, she's a sweetheart. She's also a vampire. She's also talented with some magic. She's familiar with some ritual stuff. She told me that this was some form of ancient ritual to, like, apparently Malthus prepared for this. He was prepared to die in his human form. Well, let's just say troll form, because he was a troll. And then when he died, whatever ritual he did triggered and turned him into this spirit. I must tell you, if Wheelay was not there, my mind would have been completely taken over and I would have done damage against my friends and people nearby. That would have been terrible.
How did Wheelay blast him into smithereens?
Well, like I said, he's a magician. He used a bit of lightning. He can also. Here's what I saw. From my perspective, I saw a lot of water and a large arc of lightning. Just he blasted Malthus's giant, grotesque spirit form, whatever the hell it was, and they just vaporized the spirit, completely vaporized it, and it was amazing. I don't want to be the target of that one day. Granted, I mean, I'm no slouch in combat, though. It takes a lot to hurt me.
Are you normally an upfront fighter, one in the back?
I consider myself a martial artist. This hand here, my right hand, it's got, you see the holes there with the little bits of metal?
Yes.
Well, these are cyber spurs. They're claws. I specialize in these weapons. So to answer your question, yes, I'm close range martial artist. Though I do practice jujitsu, which is for a man my size, you think I'd go for more upfront hardcore brawling or just even getting in some grappling. I toss people around like ragdoll sometimes. I mean, that's because everybody's so stinking light.
Jiu-jitsu, is that some sort of dance?
I mean, technically, you could call it a dance if you really wanted to, but it is a martial art. It's a style of unarmed fighting, which is called the unyielding, or the yield. You know what? I don't know. My mother taught me this a long time ago. I don't remember what she said, but basically, the whole premise of jujitsu is you use your opponent's weight against them. When they go in for a strike, you shift that weight against them, and you throw them using the momentum of their own weight. And I've trained myself to combine not only their own weight, but my own weight as well to get the more power out of it. So you'd be surprised at how, like for a person my size, you'd be surprised how agile I can be.
I had another question for you, Oz.
Sure.
Those spurs that you have behind your knuckles, how did you obtain them? Did you make them yourself?
They were implanted into me. And this doctor I mentioned, Vanya, she is the one who put all these implants in me. She is very talented. I've been to her multiple times. All of my cyberware and bioware were surgically implanted by her. I have a few other things, like first, obviously these spurs, claws. Notice on my nose and my above my ears, these boost my senses a little bit. My natural hearing before was pretty good, but I am far more efficient and adept with smelling and hearing. I can pick out a lot of things in a crowd. I can smell the smallest details. I even smell the hints of whatever additional flavors this tea has. It's very pepperminty, which is clear. I mean, don't need to be a super smeller to smell the peppermint in this. It's delicious, by the way. I was able to pick out, when somebody's drinking a beer, I was able to pick out ingredients just from being a distance away, like across the room. I was able to pick out barley. I was able to pick out any sort of hops. That's why I chose the moniker of Bloodhound. I'm quite good at tracking, finding people.
Can you give us an example of when that's come in handy?
We were staking out a house. We rode out into the middle of farmlands. It was a worn down house. We were going to rescue a young girl. She was being controlled by mind magic, and we wanted to take her away. So, not only to get her out of a bad situation, but to prevent the Anti-Human League from performing their sabotage of Luther's march. When we arrived, first thing I did, I took a big whiff, sniffed it out, listened. I smelled several dogs. I smelled a lot of unpleasant smells, a lot of trash, a lot of shit.
Well, that's the drawback with having heightened senses.
Yeah. When you get these strong scents like that, these strong odors, it is difficult to manage. But at the very least, if somebody's hiding, I can smell whatever's on them. I can smell Nova Coke. I can smell if somebody's taking Nova Coke. I have never done it myself, but I know what this stuff smells like. You associate with yourself with these jobs enough, you learn to know what certain scents are. You learn to pick up on what things are based on their smell.
Have you used that to track down any enemies when they've been hiding?
There was this one time I was looking at somebody's comlink, which a comlink. You know what a phone is?
Yes, I've heard of a phone.
All right. Okay. So on a phone, there's buttons. On this comlink, there's also buttons. I sniffed out the buttons, and I was able to determine which buttons have been pressed to unlock the phone. The person had a distinctive smell. I was able to pick off where they were pressing the hardest to get in. It takes some level of guesswork. Obviously, the combination wasn't fully there. I got the sense from the numbers, and all we had to do is put it in the right order, and that's how I did it.
I see. You're so good at smelling. I might have to help you get you to help me find Jerry. Man, that was hard to say. Jerry's been sneaking off again.
Yeah, because you keep chasing him with the net.
It's not Jerry that I chase with the net. It's Jeremy that I chase with the net.
They're all running away as soon as they see you.
Who's Jerry?
He's the one that's in charge of the darts and the special leaves.
One of our kobolds.
Yes, one of the kobolds.
Mm,
He's been sneaking off and not doing his duties.
I could help out with that.
A quick question about one of the characters you mentioned, exploding dice. Is it like every dice that he picks up turns into an explosive dice?
No, he had very specially designed dice that exploded. He kept a large number of them on him. The funny thing is about that, he had a whole dramatic thing. I'll show you why they call me exploding dice. He threw one of them at me. I grabbed it and threw it right back. It took him right out. I didn't have to do much. I just threw it back and it knocked him out. That is, of course, after taking out like 4 other people.
And did the dice explode when it landed on a certain number, or is it just that you just throw them and they go poof?
Yes, they explode. Definitely on impact.
So they could be anything, but he just chose dice.
Yeah, he really must have liked the name Exploding Dice.
Is he a gambler?
Maybe. I never seen him again after that day. Something happened to him, but he might someday want revenge, which wouldn't be surprising. In my line of work, you make enemies, people will come after you. And somebody like me, well, I'm relatively known around where I live. It especially makes it a little bit easier to find me, considering I drive a motorcycle and I have this jacket that you can clearly see. It's got all these patches on it, these neon colored patches. I don't know if you've seen anything like this before, being where you're from.
I don't think I have seen any of those. Rue, have you?
I've seen similar colorations and things, but not seen the exact style of picture on them. The symbolism is not something I've actually seen on clothing.
Well, right here on the back patch here, I got that put in. Gary did that for me. He also is my supplier for Deepweed. In fact, he designed this jacket. It's pretty armored, as you can see. It's loose, it's comfortable, and it's light. So that's the benefits. But this back patch, the image, it's something called an inugami, which is a Japanese dog spirit. I saw it and I thought it fit my name and I ran with it. This was after I left the motorcycle club back in the early days.
I have one last question, and we all know where this is going because I ask
Oh, no.
everybody.
Unsummon him
Have you
quickly.
heard of the thing called shaken milk?
Milkshakes?
Yes.
Of course. I don't have any on me, but
Ah,
I'm a dabbler in milkshakes from time to time.
Ah.
I'm a fan of strawberry, bananas,
ooh,
milkshakes. Sometimes I like peanut butter milkshakes.
ooh. I don't know what peanut butter is, but that sounds amazing.
It's you know what peanuts are?
I know what peanuts are.
Well, peanut butter comes from peanuts. I could not tell you the process of how it's made, but it's kind of a thick substance. You rub it on. You can sometimes pair it with jelly. Delicious.
Oh, I'm surprised I haven't had any. Then again, I do usually eat only specific things, so anyway. But yes, I think now is a good time to try and unsummon you. I'm going to try and actually send you back personally.
Before you do that, one last thing.
Yes.
If you ever need help with the Jerry problem, summon me back, and I'll come help you.
Thank you.
We'll keep you in mind if we need a hired goon.
Jerry, thank you for the weed, but go. Run.
I heard that. Anyway, time to send you back. Papara-papa! It even sent the duck.
Have a good awakening.